Hello, good evening and welcome to PM Express. My guest tonight is a man who attempted to build trains in the sky in Greater Accra, a very famous project. We will talk to him about that, but he is also the incumbent member of parliament for Isikado Ketan constituency. He's retired, at least at the end of the elections on December 7th. He's not returning to parliament. He's retired as a member of parliament. We'll see whether he remains a politician when we talk to him. He was also Ghana's Deputy Attorney General once, and then subsequently a substantive Attorney General and Railways Minister. Of course, as I talked about rings, you may have picked up on that he was in charge of our railway sector for a while. He is my guest tonight. He is Joe Ghartey, and he's spending his last few days in Parliament before the December 7th elections. I'll be picking his thoughts about politics, about Ghana, about a sector that he led, and about the NPP. PMS is always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. It's also brought to you by Alomo Bitters and the Ghana AIDS Commission. When we return, my guest will hear his thoughts. Mr. Ghartey, thank you for your time here on PM Express.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
After 20 years in Parliament, you decided to retire. Why?
Not retire from politics. Please.
No, retire from Parliament.
Yes, let's make that clear. Well, there's a time for everything. And I said in the beginning, really, my plan in the beginning was to go 16 years. But that was the first term of the Akufo-Addo government. And I have some very close friends in government who said to me that, I mean, if you don't leave halfway, let us finish with the term of the current president and let's take it from there.
If you look at your political fortunes in Isikado Ketan over the last few elections, it's been on a downward decline. Last year, for example, last elections was your poorest year. Is that part of the consideration?
Not at all. Last year they did skirt and blouse.
Yeah, the president was actually.
Yeah, they did better. They did
33,000 plus. You were in the region of 26,000.
Yeah, they did skirt and blouse, and we know the reason why. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say it on a public forum, but we know the reason why, and that reason has been corrected. What is skirt and blouse? Skirt and blouse is NPP people who voted for this thing. And you know that, Chief, people go one term, and the people are looking for them to be there.
I mean, you mentioned second, but it's actually not exactly so. The president was just more popular than you in your constituency because you saw one.
Yes,
yeah, but the president got significantly far.
Yeah, so what happened that people voted for the president but voted against me.
Yes.
Because that was, there are so many, I don't want to say, we are going to another election. People are listening one on the other side. We found out the reason. And if
you just became unpopular.
Far from that, if you go with me, I invite you to come with me to the constituency. If I become more popular, just now when I go around, it's amazing. It leaves good bumps on me. I went to Pinton, an area called in Pinton. I went for a funeral there. Unfortunately, I reached there around 5:30 because I had gone to other funerals. The town nearly came to a standstill, shouting, "Ya papa bo, ya papa ba." Last week, I went to Intankofu. People are telling me, when I went to Intankofu, they were singing a song. I have a song, Obiara Manesera Joe Ghartey. And people say, why are you going? If you go, who is? I said, no, don't worry. Like Elijah and Elisha. Elijah did his bit. Elisha was better than Elijah. So it is far from that. And let me tell you something. After 5 terms in Parliament, if you are still winning, then you've done well. Anybody who spends 1 term, they are sacking people. 2 terms, 3 terms. Check the records. How many people have won 5 terms? So when you are saying this, your broad statement that you like saying, and I know you like saying, you must put it in context. I'm happy with the people of Isikado Ketan. I'm proud of what I did. I know what happened the last time. I know the people who preach the skirt and blouse. I know what parties they belong to, and we are working on them.
Has that been fixed now?
I think
challenge.
So.
What do you make of the contest to replace you?
Oh, I think that it's an interesting contest, and may the best person win, and then I think the person who wins will win the next election.
Have any of them come to seek your blessing?
Oh, they all talk to me. 2 more than the 3rd person, but I'm not going to tell you.
There's Charles Bishu, there is Giovanni, and there's Anna.
I won't go into the details.
but they've all come to you, or two of them more so than the other one.
Next question.
Yeah. What about? I'm just curious about, because you obviously have been there for 20 years. You have your roots there. Anybody who wants to replace you, as you do in politics, would have to have a conversation with you.
I had a conversation with. I always have a conversation with people who have been there before. When I was going, I had a conversation with Osan Kumar. It was 2 constituencies that way, and a conversation with Joe Ghartey. Because they could tell me things that, experiences that they had learned over the years. They knew people. They would tell me that this person, what he says, he means it. This person will exaggerate what he says, and so on. The kind of things they told me, I think that you will learn. You know what I'm saying? And you said it rightly. I've been there for 20 years, and I have relatives all over the constituency. I mean, in Pinton, when I went to my family house, I mean, Idu, Ishim, Iskadu, Kudokro. I have relatives. Oh, my father is from Winneba. I walk along in the constituency. People speak to me in Efutu. When they call me Nei, I know where they are coming from, and so on. And you know, my great grandfather is Ghana, so, and I born and bred in Accra. So when you go, the Ghanaians, they all speak to me in Ghana. So you can't discount the fact that I'm the closest in the constituency.
Do you have a favorite
among the people?
Among the contestants?
Let me tell you my view on this matter. My view is that every candidate in politics can be sold. That's my view. Every product can be sold. Some will be more difficult than others for various reasons. And I'm not going to tell you the reasons, because if I tell you the reason, the person wins. And NDC will take my words and play it in the marketplace. Let's see what God does. Next question. You see, no matter how much you go on that tangent, I won't be of assistance to you. The election is on Saturday.
This very Saturday.
Let us leave.
Your base, though, are you making them available to any of the candidates?
Oh, Chief, I'm not. My base is the whole constituency, and so it interests me that all the candidates and their supporters. You know, some people will come to me and say, "Oh, this person is winning." You know, then other people will come to me and say that person is winning, and that other people will come and say so. I say my base is divided. Yeah,
you know the thing about politics too, when you have somebody like you who has such a strong, deep roots in the place. Those who want to replace you then go, when they're campaigning, they say, Joe Ghartey supports me. And they use your name to campaign. Has that happened?
Well, I know that some of them have, not all of them, you know. And you see, all of them are NPP people. And I will not go out of my way to say that I don't support A or I don't support B. And so the choice as to how much you use my name depends on you.
But you don't mind?
Oh, why should I mind? I will never go and say that. I mean, I've heard some of them. I mean, Charles Bisu, for example, went on Connect FM and said that he's going to continue the work I've done. You know what I'm saying? Another guy, that Giovanni went for a meeting, the kind of things he said, I heard it. I mean, every meeting you attend in this Skadu Katen, there are people there who have been with me for the past, I don't know how many years. There are people who are my relatives and so on. I've told them that they shouldn't record people's meeting and give it to me because I will listen to it. I don't want to get...
People are sending you recorded
and
meetings.
I told them that I will listen to it because I don't want to get involved emotionally and so on. You know what I'm saying?
Just curious why people will send you recorded meetings.
If I listen to it, then I'll know why. You know, somebody went somewhere and said some things, somebody recorded it. So I said, why did you send me this recording? So I'm not going to say, yeah. Well, the minute you put it on, you start listening, the person will see the thing. So my phone in, later. Charlie, it's an internal election. That's what I keep on telling them. After the internal election, you will need everybody. Anybody who thinks that he doesn't need me is joking. Because I have said deep roots, family and so on in that constituency, more than any of the 3 candidates. After 20 years, I don't have deep roots then. More than any of the 3 candidates. If you think that you don't need the other candidates, then you're also joking. Because they too, over the past 2-3 years, they've also developed their own roots and developed their own contacts and their own people. So my prayer, not just for Iskadu Keten, but for all over, is that we handle these elections with more realizing that we are one. Let me tell you, this when you see people doing skirt and blouse, it's on candidate who wants to remove you. So he has to project you as unpopular. So it's your own people who work against you. And I know the people who worked against me, but I won't mention their name. When I see them, I smile.
From your own political party?
That's what they do, because they are too powerful. So they have to make you look unpopular.
But then ultimately, the party that loses. Because if you had lost,
but the question is that
the NDC would have gained.
But the question is that, do they really care? You know, there are some people who are in this business for purely selfish reasons. There are people who do all kinds of things. Yeah. And I'm telling you that there are people who, from your own party, who will campaign against you because they want you to look unpopular.
And that's in essence what happened to you.
Yes.
The gap between yourself and the NDC lady was just around 2,000.
No, about 3,000.
About 3,000.
Yes.
You wanted to be president.
Yes.
And you ran in the super delegates conference. Did your performance surprise you? You had
a few days before, about a week or two before, we picked up some intel, and but that was going to be our performance, and we made some fundamental mistakes. I told you one. I'll just tell you one of them.
Which is what? We
should have started by going out to the people. Our campaign was too focused, too small a group, and even though it's super delegates, and the super delegates live in a community, and they listen to the community, we should have come out more and so on. That's one of the mistakes. And so before the results came out, we had an inkling what the results would be. So we were not that surprised, and afterwards we have done our work. We've seen the mistakes we made. Bill Clinton, he said famously, was the youngest governor in America, Arkansas at that time. First term, second term, Bill Clinton lost. So when he lost, he decided to go around and ask people that after 4 years, why didn't you vote for me again? And I don't know whether it's a true story or not, but that's what I think I read or I heard, I don't know. So he got to somebody, and the person said, he asked the guy, the guy was a supporter, and I heard the guy didn't support. He asked the guy, why didn't you talk to the guy? I said, you said you raise tax. You wouldn't raise tax, but you raise tax. And so I voted against you. So I asked the guy that, so if I go again, will you vote for me? He said, yeah, I'll vote for you. He said, why? He said, because I've done you. You did me and I've done you. So now I support you. So after politics, after every political event, you have to find out what happened. And we found out what happened. But the worst mistake you can make in politics is to publicly say what happened. Because you never know when you need that information, or you give that information to somebody else. So, if my advice to anybody who wants to run is that don't focus too much on the narrow group. Start with the larger group.
So you still want to be president?
Just now, I want to focus on the vice president of my party, who is the flag bearer, becoming president. That is what is important. When you are young, you do a lot of things. When you become older, you become more measured. And so somebody came to me with a brilliant business idea. You came 20 years too late. They said, what do you mean? I said, well, if you had told me when I was 40, I would have done it. But now I'm 60. And I don't think I want to do a completely new business. So I'm now a bit more measured because I'm older, I'm more experienced. So all I'll tell you now is that let us focus on the vice president becoming president. The ideas I had, what I wanted to do, my ideas about public sector, private sector, about corporate governance, about the laws to change, about corruption, about the attorney general, about the justice and all of that. I'll give it to the vice president. And then I have a good relationship with him. And my prayer is that he adopts some of them. He's a person who likes a good argument. And so, and he from what I know of him, he's not the kind of person that is afraid of admitting that a particular argument is a superior argument. And so I will continue to engage him and hope that some of the ideas that I have be used by him.
And in that election, many expected the vice president to win, and he did. But did Agyapong's performance surprise you?
No.
He didn't?
No, because of two reasons.
He was second.
No, he didn't surprise me. He had money. Chief, He went around more than anybody else. It didn't surprise me. That's what I'm telling you that. You see, I must confess that you're a good interviewer. You're trying to get me to say things I don't want to say. But I'm telling you that we picked up some things before the date, and so it didn't surprise me.
But why didn't it surprise you, though?
Because of what we picked up.
Which was what?
First, like what I said, his going to the public had an impact. He had gone to the public more than anybody else. It had a huge impact. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. The people who went to the public were the Vice President, Alan Chamatin, and Agyapong. But Agyapong went to the public more. If you don't go to the public, how would they hear what you want to say? And the people who are doing the super delegates, they're influenced by the public. So if your ideas are just to them, when they come out, they must be arguing for you among their peers. That, I just want to listen to Evans or Joe Ghartey or Kwesi Mensah or whatever. He speaks very well. Well, the 10 people he's talking to at his local dump place, they haven't heard Joe Ghartey speak. But they've heard Agyapong, they've heard the Vice President, and they've heard Alan. So those are the 3 people they are thinking about. So that's what I'm saying, that one of the fundamental mistakes we made was that we shouldn't have focused on the super delegates. We should have rather focused on the. And when we did our checks, and when our research people did their checks, they said, before the election, they said, people have heard these people, but they haven't heard you. You know, and you know, up to date, I met a man during the Christmas. He came to my house, a professor in one of the universities, and he said he wants to thank me. I was in the hall with my boys, you know, about 30 people in my hall, you know, we're teasing each other and singing songs about, you know, masqueraders. You know, I mean, iron fighters. Yes, you know, iron fighters. You know, iron fighters. We are considered to be ruffians, but I'm not a ruffian, but I'm an iron fighters guy. So we have a song. Fighters say, "Bawonka so wakika yebi jayo." So we're singing a song. This man comes in, says he wants to thank me. I said, what about? I said, see, two of my boys here. And he said, when I was railway minister, he came to my office, and he was downstairs, and I was going home. And I said to him that, why don't you, I said to my security man, I should go and ask the gentleman there whether he's looking for me. And he went to ask him, and he came and said he's looking for me. And I called him to the car and said, what do you want? He said he has this letter that I have to endorse because he wants to go to railway company. I said, bring it. And I endorsed it there. Let them do a photocopy, take it to my office. And I called the boss of the railway company. He said, this professor, he was doing some research. He needs access to this thing. And so he said that I didn't behave like a typical minister. When I was in Attorney General, I drove into Busia Beach as the Attorney General. The girls are there, the ladies are there, reception, they know me, they're from Takoradi. Hey, Attorney. So there's some Nigerian people there. So when I sat down, started to have my bed, they came to me and so they want to ask me a question. So he asked me, sir, are you the Attorney General? I said, yes. They say of Ghana or of the state. I said, Ghana, we don't have states. There's no Western state. There's no Attorney General. I'm Attorney General for Ghana. They say, where's my security? I said, I don't have security. They say, so where's my advanced team? I said, I don't have advanced team. They say, what am I doing here? I said, oh, I was in Takoradi, my constituency. They said, Takoradi, what okay, that's the says. And I decided actually, people were coming in and I just wanted some peace. So I told them, I decided to drive to Busia, have a meal, and then drive back. And as I think a lot when I'm driving. So as I'm driving, I'm thinking of plans. Chief, I've been told again and again by people that you are quiet, you are too quiet, people don't know you. So these interviewers, you should have come before the election. You know, you are part of the people who did not help me. You have come after the election. No, I should truncate this interview immediately. Because I should have come and put it out there. Yeah. But one thing you mentioned is that Kennedy had money. Was that a factor? Well, you need money. You need a lot of money in politics, don't you? I mean, that's why. But it's not even about money alone. It's about you can have money. You won't go out. I could have gone out to the people. I could have started going out to the people. I mean, not have gone to as many and with that intensity, but I could have gone out to the people. But we didn't. Our strategy was let's focus on the super delegates. But that was a mistake. I'm curious to ask you, if you watch the media space in your party, Kennedy Agyapong has become a phenomenon. Many actually compare him to Donald Trump. What's your, first of all, do you agree he's become a phenomenon? What's your view on the Kennedy Agyapong phenomenon? let me tell you something. I don't pass comments on people, you know what I'm saying? And I don't watch the media space as much as you. Ken Agyapong sits 2 seats away from me, he's my friend. He's a nice guy, he's an interesting character, you know what I'm saying? And politics has its seasons, you know what I remember. I remember after there was one, I don't know what I want to mention, no, let me go. I know what I want to talk about. There was one case that made one lawyer very, very famous over a period of time. You know, there are seasons. So let's look at how the seasons go.
So this is Ken Agyapong's season?
It's a season. Now, the interesting thing about politics for me is how long you can let your season last. And love or hate the president, he let the season last a long time. You know what I'm saying? He let his season last a long time. Because this business about everybody's must go 3 times. Kufuor went 2 times. How many presidents have we had in the 4th Republic? President Kufuor went 2 times. And if you look at President Tamils, President Kufuor, the first time, people say, oh, Rawlings, there was all this, Rawlings, let's just give Rawlings the last term and let him go and leave us alone. And that was the thinking. Then you have Professor Tamils. I mean, Professor Tamils, I think he also went 2 times, you know what I'm saying?
He went 2000, 2004, and 2008, actually, so 3 times.
Yes, and Professor Tamils went 2000 against President Kufuor. But you see, and then he went 2000, so he went 3 times. And then Nana Akufo-Addo also, President, went 3 times. And then President Mahama had a different situation. So let's see, I mean, you can, a day is a long time in politics. And I mean, it's not always the most popular person who wins. I was told that Joe Appiah could speak, was a much better orator than Buzia. Buzia was the prime minister candidate for the party, the candidate for the party at the time. And they noticed that after Joe Appiah speaks, people leave the rally. So usually the candidate is the last person who speaks. But in this case, they decided that Buzia will speak before Joe Appiah. I was told this by a very serious senior member of our party. I think I can mention his name. He won't be against it. Kufuor told me. He said when you hear Joe Appiah speaking, I don't remember that election. I just remember seeing Joe Appiah on black and white TV saying Ababa said the oratory and so on. So the most popular person doesn't necessarily win. And so don't misinterpret the most popular. It's a season. It depends on so many things.
But for Kenya, what makes it his season now?
The season, I won't say it. If it rains, you can see it's raining. You told me that now the media landscape. So I say if that's the case, it's season. Everybody has a season.
People have said the party is actually changing and the grassroots is yearning for something different that they haven't found in the establishment candidates. And that is why Ken Agyapong has become so popular among your ranks. And even broadly looking at politics in Ghana, Ghanaians are just tired of the regular way politics is done. And so he's bringing in something different, almost along the Trump line.
What is interesting about this interview is that you are turning it into my view of Ken Agyapong, and I refuse to go that way. What I'll say about Ken Agyapong is that he sits 2 seats away from me. He's my brother, he's my friend, and I wish him the best.
I'm going to take a break. When I return, we'll talk about the running mate position, but also the party is going into a major election. What is his role in that? He said he's going to put his knowledge behind the vice president, Dr. Bawumia. But we'll talk about Parliament. I'm curious to know his verdict on this particular current Parliament. He's been there for 20 years, so we have perspective to share. And then we'll talk about his time as the Railways Minister. There's a lot to talk about when we come back from this break. My guest is Joe Ghartey. He is the incumbent member of Parliament for Isikado Kitan and immediate past Railways Minister. Stay with me. And thank you for staying with us. My guest is still Joe Ghartey, and he is the MP for Isikado Kitan. He is no longer seeking to re-enter Parliament. After the December 7 elections, he will bid Parliament farewell. He says he's retiring from Parliament, not from politics. Talking about that line, you're retiring from Parliament, not for politics. Are you interested then in the Vice President's position,
No.
the running mate position?
No.
Categorically?
No.
You haven't even considered it?
No. I think it's clear that the party has decided where the running mate will come from.
Where is that?
I think the thinking is that it should come from the Ashanti region.
You agree with that view?
Well, I mean, listen, I made a point that everything can be sold. What does a vice president do? In terms of, not in terms of delivery when he becomes vice president, but in terms of a vice presidential candidate. I think he answers questions that the president cannot answer. And for example, if you think that an economist is somebody that you need to make you whole, then you take an economist, like the way President Akufo-Addo took Vice President Bawumia. You want a younger person, then you take. So I think that clearly the party will look at it. I won't tell you what the party will be looking at, but in my view, the party should not be looking at somebody from the coast. The party should not take somebody from the north and somebody from the coast and combine the two. There are other parts of Ghana that we have to look at.
Okay.
But if the party...
So you agree with the Ashanti region view then?
I don't disagree with it at all. But if the party wants to look at the coast, I mean, vice president is not something that I crave to be. So, I mean, I think that the party will choose the best candidate for that. When President Akufo-Addo wanted to choose the Vice President Bawumia, I remember once we were called to, about 10 of us were called to, at that time, Dr. Preku's house were used as a sounding board. I mean, if the Vice President hasn't talked to me about that yet, but if he asks me, I will give him my opinion and I'll tell him why I think A or B. And so, I mean, we just want to look at, and I'm glad that I've heard that you're not going to choose the Vice President in January. You know what I'm saying? It's a very serious decision, and you know, you shouldn't rush and make it. We're not going onto the ballot sheet tomorrow, so you should take his time, look at it. He has a lot of good people, research people, and so on, and they'll bring up the best.
You think he's being rushed though, because you follow? There is this undercurrent of a very aggressive campaigning going on to catch his eye.
Well,
People are now threatening. I have a Agyapong campaign say, if it's not Napo, I'm not campaigning for the party. This week you read stories about other interest groups all coming out saying something about their preferred candidate.
Presidency is a very difficult, lowly, and important position. We want a president who is strong. The vice president should not listen to anybody. He should be strong. I'm not saying that he shouldn't take advice from anybody. No, that's not what I'm saying. But he should be strong. He shouldn't be rushed to take a decision. He should look at what is available and take the best decision in the interest of the party and the country. I mean, I've heard some names. All of them are okay. But we should look at it a little more.
And on that point, what characteristics must that person have though? In the interest of your party, considering where you are now?
Like I said, the vice president answers questions. That's my view. A vice president answers questions. He can answer a geographical question. He can answer an age question. He can answer a gender question. The vice president can answer a political question. He can answer an ethnic question. So I'm sure that research is going on to see what questions need to be answered. So the vice president must answer that question, the major question of the day, or the major deficiency in quotes of the candidates.
Okay. So in other words, the person must complement.
You see, even compliment is an understatement. The person must be an addition, a strong addition. A strong addition must bring in votes. And must not only bring in votes, but must be capable of assisting the president too when he becomes president.
Okay. And you have a unique situation in your party. First time you have a Muslim candidate on the ticket. Will that play into the choice?
You have to ask the people who are going to make that choice.
Should that play a role in the consideration?
I talked about research. You see, politics today has become very scientific. There's nothing even more than even football. They will tell you the number of touches you had. That's why they wear that black vest under. Number of touches, your pass percentage, and things like that. It's the same with politics. So for me to sit here without all the data at my disposal and be making statements, it's not right. I'm a lawyer. Lawyers, we are properly instructed before we talk. And so what I've said is that what the research that will be done will be to see the question that the Vice President's, Dr. Bawumia's candidacy has to answer, where it will need strengthening, where it will need support. And that person, the person who will be chosen, will answer that question. I mean, President Akufo-Addo thought about a lot of people. I know that because when we met in Dr. Preku's house, Dr. Bawumia's name was not one of the names that was put forward at the time. They thought about a lot of people. And I mean, when they called us, I spoke my mind that X, Y, Z, I don't think are suitable. All I can tell you is that when I'm called, or if I'm called to ask what I think, I'll speak my mind. The party, they know me. I speak my mind, and my mind sets me free. But I'm not rude.
I'm talking about the economy. The expectations of your government. As far as the economy is concerned, the NPP had prided itself as being the better managers of the economy than the NDC. But it was a time last year when your own members in Parliament almost unanimously publicly held a press conference, which is unprecedented, asking the president to sack the finance minister because they believed the economy had tanked and was going to kill your own chances of winning next year's elections. Isn't that an admission among your own ranks in Parliament that you've been shambolic at managing the economy at least? And by the way, were you one of those who joined that group who believed that the finance minister had to go last year?
Well, let me say something to you, first of all, that at the time last year, I was thinking about standing for president. And I didn't want to become a president who has people telling me who to take and who not to take. The question about who becomes a minister is a choice of the president, because the ministers really assist the president with the approval of Parliament. At a certain point, some people felt that the economy was rather difficult, and therefore some sacrifices had to be made.
As in sacrifice of Ken Ofori-Atta?
Well, Chief, then set your own questions and give your own answers. Let me speak. What is that? You are my long-time friend, and then you want to. The man is. Can I speak now?
Please proceed.
Okay. So, as for sacrificing people in politics, it's a well-known matter. In fact, apart from the vice president, in my view, any minister can be sacrificed and can even be sacrificed by agreement. But that is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is that you don't sacrifice the person and you give the person opportunity to prove himself. And if what the IMF is saying now is anything to go by, then the man has proved himself. And let me tell you that me as a minister at the time, when I look at what was happening in 2018, 2019, and what happened when COVID came, it's amazing. I can't see myself fully blaming anybody for it. Because, Chief, 300 people were coming, banks were coming from South Africa, banks, DBSA, were coming from South Africa to my office to offer loans for the railway sector. That if there was a South African company called Transnet, 2 South African companies came. The one that was going to do the Skytrain, another one that was wanted to transform the Ghana Railway Company, maintain the narrow gauge. The narrow gauge is the old line. In South Africa, they use both the narrow gauge and the standard gauge, and so on. And they were going to bring money in and so on and so forth. There are South African banks who were backing the deal. Transnet, after COVID, they issued a statement that now they're going to be inward looking. They are not expansionists any longer. And so things happen that we cannot avoid. The people thought at that time, I don't criticize them, they had their own information. The president had a choice. He could either sacrifice somebody, the finance minister, maybe more than even the finance minister, or he could give him an opportunity to prove himself. The jury is out. Today, if you ask the average Ghanaian today, the views have changed and changed slightly. We'll look at him in 2015.
So you disagreed with them then, and you think your view had been vindicated by the current economic conditions?
No. I didn't disagree with that. I disagreed with the position that people, whether they be MPs or non-MPs, should be telling the president who to appoint and who not to appoint. You can't express your views. Talk is free. But I don't think that the president is bound to respect, to follow those views. The president must listen as president. But I always believe that the buck stops the leader. In any event, have you looked at the Constitution? The Constitution says that all financial matters are by the president. The budget is introduced into Parliament by the president. So some have argued that if you ask the finance minister to resign, then you must as well ask the president to resign. Because everything the president is doing, he's doing it. Everything the finance minister is doing it on the instructions of the president. So it is an interesting development in politics, and it is good that it happened, and the reaction that came to was okay. I mean, finance minister is a strong man. You know, some weaker person would have given up himself. You know, I, as Attorney General, once went to President Kufuor and offered to resign. President Kufuor listened to the story and said, "This is not a resignable matter. I mean, you don't resign over these matters. Go and resolve the issue." And I went to resolve the issue. And
you thought it was a good decision then. At least looking back on, you would have resigned, and the fact that you turned it around, it would have been a bad decision if you had resigned.
In fact, my wife said to me, she was out of the country. When she came back, she said to me that if I was out of the country and told me that you were going to resign over this, I'd never have agreed with you. And if I had resigned then, I wouldn't have been able to do justice for all the things that I did at the Attorney General's office. You know, that all the judgment debt case, CP that I fought, the drug cases that I fought. If I had resigned, I wouldn't have done it.
But more substantively, though, you think, looking at where we are as an economy right now, the finance minister has been vindicated?
What I said was that the jury is out. I think he's doing his best. I think the jury's out. I've been listening to his budget, you know what I'm saying. I have a joke with him. I shout the fundamentals are strong, you know. I think the jury's out. I mean, I think that every government, the finance ministry, not this finance ministry, the finance ministry is such an important part of governance that every government will be judged on the basis of, to some extent, depending from time to time, on how well the economy does. So every finance minister is sitting on a hot seat. And once he's finance minister, we continue judging him, and we stop judging him when he's not finance minister.
Yeah, and you say the jury's out, but for many, that verdict is already out there. One is that you have taxes now going to be placed on electricity. I'm sure when you go to your constituency, they will raise it with you. You have a raft of new taxes that have now been imposed that is going to take effect. In fact, taking effect on January 1. You have haircuts that have been imposed on people who bought bonds. The economy, in terms of its ability to reflect in people's pockets, inflation is still in the 20s. That many look at and say that verdict is already out there. There's no doubt about it.
A friend of mine talked to me about haircuts. I told him that luckily I don't have any hair, so I don't need a haircut. But I won't comment on haircuts. You see, I'm chairing a committee which is going to deal, parliamentary committee, which is going to investigate matters relating to not the banks, but the failure of the institutions registered by the Security and Exchange Commission. I think it would be very bad taste for me to. We are starting in February to sit here and be passing all kinds of comments on the economy and so on. But all I will say is that the jury remains out, and the jury declares its verdict on voting day. I will say also that, but
it will be too late for you.
You see, I know from speaking to you now, you used to be a very positive young man, but as you are growing older, you are becoming a prophet of doom. Let us wait, and let us see what God will do.
But in politics, you can fix it now. Why do you wait till December 7th?
But why will it
be too late?
But we are fixing it. That's why I'm going to say go down by 50%.
Let's talk about the SkyTrain project, the Accra SkyTrain. What happened to it?
Very simple. We went to South Africa in August in 2017. Met a group of people, investors. We were selling our projects because what I had been told by His Excellency the President is that what I can assure you is 2 billion cedis for your sector, you as minister must decide what you are going to use that 2 billion for, and advise us. I mean, you bring it to cabinet, and so you got, of course, you got to argue about it. And so we had 4 or 5 projects we wanted to do. There's so much traffic in Accra and in Kumasi that you have to do something about it. We brought people to see whether they could do something from Accra to Kaswa. They were the first people who told us that if you want to do railway in Accra, you have to raise it. They brought us various proposals. One proposal was that
when it has to be overground.
Yes, yes. When they reach,
typically, I mean, literally the sky. That's why we had the sky.
That's the concept.
That's the concept. Okay.
So they said if you reach, the first concept they brought to me is that when you reach Achimota, they'll take 1.5 of the N1 and use it for train. I said to the guy that if I was president and my railway minister came to tell me that N1, he's taking 1/2 for railway, I'll sack him that day. He won't reach the door, I'll tell him that I'll tell him to write his regulation, because he doesn't understand what we're doing. This traffic prone road, you're going to use rail to take one side. It's not possible. I told them they should bring me another solution. The other solution was to go further down, and now because of the Wager water, they go further down, then they have to go around the Wager water and then descend towards Kaswa. It's going to take 1 hour. The third option they gave me was they have to elevate it. From Accra to Kaswa, you can't break those telegrams. I mean, the kind of houses, the family house that is, it's a war. So they said, you got to elevate it. Then we also commissioned an Indian group to do something on metro line in Ghana, because apart from the Accra Kumasi line and the line that now is going to Mpakadan, we said we have to do inner city rail for Accra, inner city rail for Kumasi as well. And everybody came up and said that there are certain parts of Accra that it has to go up if you want to cover the entire Accra. If you want to just have
the train had to be in the sky,
it had to be elevated. So these people came, and that concept was what they call the sky train.
So how long was it going to take?
At least a year to finish all of that.
So like preparatory work?
At least a year.
But in terms of the delivery?
They said but they could deliver within 2-3 years, and not the whole line. Don't forget that what were they going to do? They're going to put pylons, and then they'll do a bridge over, and the train will pass over. Go to Akosombo. Go to Senchi, behind Senchi. They've used pylons in water, and we've crossed over the river. The entire line from Tema to Mpakadan does not cross over the road.
So for you it was possible?
It's not, Chief.
So why hasn't it been delivered then?
Oh, because the South Africans pulled out after COVID.
Why did they pull out? Is it because of COVID?
What they wrote to me was that because of COVID, the things have changed, they can't come. That's what they wrote to me, that we have to wait because of COVID.
So you believe in the train concept? The Sky Train, of course, was going to be the flagship because of it was in Accra and it's going to solve the bottlenecks that you described.
Of 5 million people.
Of 5 million people. And they wrote to you after COVID to say because of COVID, they could not come to execute.
They couldn't come at that time, they said.
But what was your response to them?
But I didn't have $2 billion. What's my response? I'll say, let's see how it goes.
And that's why he hasn't gone forward?
Well, at the time I was minister, the amount of money that was given to me, there was no way I was going to use government money. We're using private sector money. If you had asked me, not me personally, but if it's out of a $2 billion envelope, we should put 100 million in the project or something. Yeah, I wouldn't have, but we didn't have to.
But the minority last year
alleged
that $2 million was paid to this company.
By who? Yeah, journalists, you know by who.
Who paid that money?
You know it, please. Don't pretend as if you don't know it.
Well,
you know, please. Let's be honest with each other.
The Ghana Infrastructure Fund.
Do they take instruction from the Railway Ministry?
Well, I'm asking you, just to confirm, they pay the money?
No, you know it, because the majority, there was an Auditor General's report which stated that the money was paid by the Ghana Infrastructure Fund. The Ghana Infrastructure Fund does not take instructions for railway.
But why would they pay the money when you had, as you've explained in great detail, you were leading this project?
But you must ask them, not me. When you go and when the government awards a contract to a contractor, the contractor who is doing the road to, for example, the guy who is doing the road to Insawam, the government has awarded him a contract, and the contractor goes to commercial bank to ask for a loan. and he refuses to pay the loan, would we go and ask the Minister of Roads that why did the contractor go for a loan?
But do you know why they pay the money?
They're in the best position to answer.
I'm just curious because you were
No,
the
I
minister.
don't. No, but I just told you why you shouldn't be asking me that question, but you should ask them. I'm saying, no, please. Let me say it again so you understand. The contractor who has been awarded the contract from Accra to Insawo, his duty is to execute the contract. If he decides that he wants to take a loan from the Ghana Commercial Bank to do something whilst he waits for money from government, and he doesn't pay or he gets in trouble, would you go and ask the Minister for Roads? You ask the Ghana Commercial.
When you learnt about it, were you surprised that money had been paid when you didn't know about it?
Nothing surprises me. Nothing surprises me. And also, I don't assume wrongdoing for anybody. You know, I've been around, I've been in this business for too long, I've been in court for too long, I'm a lawyer, so I don't make assumptions. Nothing surprises me, and I don't assume wrongdoing. And there are many cases I learned quite early in my legal profession that what you see as clear cut, when you go into it, is not clear cut. It is not what I see or what I think that's all the case. So what do? I don't assume anything. I'm not surprised by anything.
But monies have been paid. What should happen to that money? The minority says that there must be accountability. It is. What's your recommendation?
I don't have any recommendation. The Auditor General made this recommendation. I haven't read the Auditor General's recommendation. The institution is there, and I will not I will not become responsible for it, and I will not pass any comment on it.
Should government still pursue the SkyTrain project?
That's up to them. It depends on how much money you have. It depends on whether the people are prepared to do it. It depends on whether the conditions are right. But I will tell you that if I ever have the power to do it, I will do a metro line in Accra. Whether it will be elevated or it will be underground or it will be on the ground is another story.
Do you have any regrets about all the effort you put in? Wasted effort, right?
No, not at all. I don't have it. Do you know how much I learned in the process? I'm not an engineer. I'm a student of engineering now. Do you know how much I learned during the process? Do you know what? Do you know? I mean, serving your people is a joy.
I need you to give me your verdict on this parliament, because this is where you spent 20 years of your life.
J.H. Mensah famously said, at the point that they said I was too old to come to parliament, he said, "We are not coming to fight in parliament. If we come to fight, like I agree with you that you are too old." That answers my question.
I don't understand.
Well, it's not everything that you're supposed to understand.
But if I don't understand, chances are my audiences will struggle too. What's the verdict on this?
Let me tell you something. They say, he who has ears, let him hear. Let me say it again. J.H. Mensah, when they asked him that, J.H., you are too old and people to come to parliament, he said, we are not going to box in parliament. We are going to use our brains. We started badly, but now we are finishing well.
Okay, so this parliament did not use enough of its brains?
No, I said we started badly, but we are finishing well. And also because part of the reason is that this is the first parliament that you have a speaker from the other side, that you have such
and the near even split in the numbers.
So I say that maybe we started a bit badly, the beginning, but now things have changed. We are ending well.
So if you put all together, what will be your verdict then?
We are ending very well. I see that we have an opportunity to do a lot of new things. We've done the new standing orders, which had been outstanding since 2020, and the speaker himself and the majority leader have been in parliament for a long time. So, I mean, when at the standing orders committee, when we're talking about certain issues, they would tell, "Have you forgotten the first parliament this happened," and so on. I think we have a unique opportunity to finish hard. We are doing that. 181 petitions are coming. There will be disagreements. I don't agree with everything the speaker does, but I don't expect to agree with everything the speaker does, even if it's my own speaker. When I say my own speaker from my own party.
You disagree?
Yeah, but I think that increasingly, day in, day out, people are respecting each other more. People are realizing that we don't all speak the same way, but we are doing well.
Has this hung parliament served its purpose? Has it been a disappointment for you?
No. I think that, somebody was telling me, President is too powerful. I told him that apart from State of Nation, even which is, you tell me one thing the president can do. It's good. The president, it's checks and balances. I think we've managed ourselves well. And I think we are, like I said before, I think we are finishing well.
And a final one on this, your good friend and colleague, first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Ghartey, last year delivered his verdict on this and says it's the worst parliament in Ghana's history.
You are determined to make me the supervising High Court judge over people. You are determined.
You disagree with him?
No. Let me finish. You are determined to make me comment on other people's comments. I tell you a story of the 7 blind men of Hades that went to see the elephant. Have you heard it? They touched different parts of the elephant, and one of them touched the tusk. He said the elephant is like a sphere. One touched the tail. He said the elephant is like a rope. One touched the side. He says like a wall. One touched the leg. He says like a tree. My view is that the Parliament is doing well. Thank you.
And the president you served as
Yes.
Railways Minister, this is his last year.
Yes.
What summarizes legacy for me?
You see, let me just end by saying this. Whether you like it or not, every president is remembered by 1 or 2 things. That's what I've seen in my years of living. Like Kufuor will be remembered by 1 thing, this person will be remembered by 1 thing, that person. People will remember Akufo-Addo for free SHS. He has cemented his legacy. It is my prayer that the next president continues that process, because the number of children that have been given the opportunity today to become something in life is unimaginable. I was brought up with a single parent in a family as a prefect, and I say it without any fear of favor. There were times that I hadn't paid my school fees, and my mother, and because I was prefect, we had a master called Double Man, senior master. You come to the say, in the middle of the term, some boys have still not paid their school fees. If you hear your name, please walk out. And he mentioned the names, and I don't hear my name. I say, thank God, this time my name is not. Then you come to the prefect table and say, Joe Ghartey, you haven't paid your fees. But because you are preferred, we didn't want to mention your name. Go home and bring your fees. If the fees were to Bunda bought in the first place, all that is taken out. For me, it's an emotional thing. The president has done well. Ghana will remember him kindly. Thank you.
That's Joe Ghartey. He is the Member of Parliament for Esikado, Kitan constituency. Thank you for joining us on PM Express.
You are right.
And not the best in your time as a non-member of Parliament, but you continue your role in politics, as you said.
Yeah, thank you also. And Nelson Mandela said one thing. He said, at that time, he said, when I retired, I became more busy than when I was working. And he retired from retirement as well. If coming events cast their shadows, I'm getting inundated by work already. So I pray to God to give me the strength to continue to serve my people.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.